If someone asked me what Amache was today, I would tell them it was a civil liberties violation of American citizens, that just because of their racial background, the federal government decided to take their rights away and put them into these camps. And 10 camps, 120-some thousand Japanese Americans and Japanese were unjustly ripped from their homes.
To say they survived is an understatement, but they did. Life went on. They lived day to day, week to week, and month to month. People died, children were born, children died. They worked the land, raised cattle and hogs. They educated their children while maintaining their cultural integrity with Eastern Stoicism.
We were first in the assembly centers, and ours was at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. And to this day, I dislike fairgrounds because we were incarcerated in among barbed wire fences.
And if you get next to the barbed wire fence, the guard would says, "Go back." The machine guns was pointing in, not out.
When they boarded the train in California, no one told them where they were going. The trains that transported them were old, with coal-driven engines that belched smoke and soot through any window that was open. The military guards on the train made them keep the shades drawn. Why? They didn't know. When the train finally stopped, they were ordered to disembark. The Japanese stumbled into a world that was stark and desolate. Wind, dust, and heat. The camp itself held no relief for the weary travelers. Camp Amache was not finished. Windows were not installed. Only 20 blocks of barracks had latrines, showers, and laundry rooms. Many moved into the rooms as the last nails were being pounded.
Yes, I was born in the camp. I was allowed to survive the camps. And looking back at my youth, I was very bitter. Bitter because I was born behind barbed wire and machine gun towers. And why didn't the Germans or the Italians why weren't they put into camps? But bitterness is not the way to live the life of a human being. So in order for me to live the life of a human being, I had to let go of the bitterness.
Young Japanese Americans had lobbied to be allowed to enlist since the onset of the war, but were denied. By 1943, Americans were again complaining. Why were young Japanese men sitting in detention centers when young American men were fighting the war? Reluctantly, the U.S. government reversed their original position. Now, young Japanese Americans could enlist. They would be sent to the battlefields of Europe. And so was born the most decorated infantry units in World War II. The famous 442 Regimental Combat Team and the 100th Battalion. Their motto was "Go for broke." Loosely interpreted, it meant, hey, we've got nothing to lose. George Joe T. Sakato served with E Company of the 442nd Regimental Combat Team and was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross and the Congressional Medal of Honor.
I ran out of ammunition and I couldn't get my other clips out because it was rained and they were stuck in my, and this dumb German's coming up me. I took that Luger pistol that I had from the lieutenant, fired 3 rounds at it, hit him. And they stopped. So, now I could refill my clips. I was sitting down in the hole, filling my clips. Meantime, they surrounded, went outside of me and got behind me. And they're going up that hill, and I said, oh my God. I told the rest of the platoon, watch out for the Germans are up there, machine guns going up the hill. So it is, my friend of mine, he says, where? He stood up for some reason. He stood up and he says, where? And he got shot. I crawled over this hole and I picked him up and, why would you do that? He tried to say something, but he couldn't say. And he went limp on me, and I knew he died. I held him whole. I was mad. I cried. I took myself in some machine gun, and I started running up the hill, zigzagging up, firing, hit the ground and running. How I ran up that hill that day when I couldn't run up the hills before, I don't know. I had extra adrenaline in me that I was able to charge that hill. And the rest of the platoon followed me, and we took the hill back.